Bell Selkie Lovelock. A very warm welcome to Plantae Convivae's In Convivium interview series. Bell, hi. You're joining us from Wales, I'm guessing, today?
Yeah, Cumbria. Yeah.
Wow. And just for a change in this interview series, it's not raining here today. How about with you?
Oh, it's raining. It's raining good and proper.
Okay. Well, there's a light and a dark side to all of this, isn't there? As we'll find out.
Absolutely.
Now, just a nutshell bio. You're a nature-based human development mentor and soul guide, and a wild mind guide for the Animus Valley Institute, all of which I'd love to talk to you more about. But today, given the spirit of Plantae Convivae, I'd like to ask you about your relationship with the plant being we call mistletoe, because as I understand it, which is not a lot at the moment, but it will be more, I'm sure, you're closer to it than most people. So I'd love you to expand on your relationship with mistletoe.
Okay, here we are. Here's our mistletoe. It's
Welcome to mistletoe as well.
these beings are with us today. Okay, so mistletoe. I've been in relationship with mistletoe for 35 years. I met this one uh, on the borders, the marches between England and Cymru. And I grew up in Worcestershire, so it's quite a present being in that area. But the ones at Kilpeck, they it's a very special place for me. It's what I call a veily place, a place where the worlds meet, this world and the other world. And yeah, visiting in March, which I have done for the last 35 years, between the 6th and the 12th of March. Um, the berries and the golden bough are very bright at that time of year. And I just felt a inquiry from the plant to pick it and plant it. And yeah, so I did. And I taught myself how to plant it. Um, well, did I teach myself or was I taught? There's the information you're given is that you make a little nick in the bark and all that sort of stuff, but that is not necessary. There's no violence required apart from popping the berries. And oh, you still there?
Yes.
Okay, you've disappeared to me. Hold on. There we are. Um, and so I started planting them in conversation with the trees because there's a lot of discussion about the parasitic nature of mistletoe. It is
Mm.
actually a chemoparasite, which means it does actually make its own chlorophyll. Um, and the ancients didn't have quite as bad a press on mistletoe as we do. Um, yeah, so and I believe it's between the tree and the mistletoe. They have a conversation and they decide whether the mistletoe is going to grow there or not. And there's a learning about grace in there that I think is quite important. Us humans tend to think we're the be all and end all and the center of everything. And actually, the plants decide. I've planted mistletoe on places where I would have sworn they would take, and they just haven't because it's not the right plant. It's not the right host tree. It's not in the right place. It's not the right time. I don't know.
Mm.
Um, and I plant mistletoe because it is a plant of peace in a lot of traditions. I mean, this is what I've decided now. When I started planting it, it was quite mysterious to me. And then I discovered all the different traditions around mistletoe. And it's also a protection plant, like the Celts. I think in Austria, which is where the Celts are really from, as far as we know. It's kept up as a protective plant in some parts of Austria, or was, um, all year round. And some of that tradition has remained. In the Celtic tradition in this country, there is a tradition of leaving it up in the house after the other greens have been taken out of the house for Christmas,
Mm.
leaving it for protection. So I plant it for that reason, really. Like the Norse, they have this tradition that when warriors were fighting, if they fought underneath mistletoe, they had to put down their weapons, and leave it for a day, leave the fighting for a day. And I just think we need more of that. So that's why I plant it. So, yeah.
Wonderfully simple.
Mm.
Yeah, it's got this fascinating light and a dark side, isn't it? I mean, just in the
Yeah.
context of ancient history and mythology, as I understand it, the Greeks kind of saw it as symbolizing the kind of entrance to the underworld,
Yeah.
darkness and shadow. Whereas, as
Yeah.
you say, the peace and protection thing was flagged up by the Romans, and I guess that's probably the root of why it's hung up. As I understand it, the modern tradition of kissing under
Mhm.
mistletoe, it's a modern kind of offshoot, if you like, of that hanging it up in a house for protection.
Mm.
And yeah, you mentioned the Norse and Germanic mythologies, because it features in one story, doesn't it, with Baldur, one of the gods,
Baldur.
Baldur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Baldur. Was it Frigg so loved her son that she wanted to protect him from everything? And so everybody, uh, at the bidding of Frigg, went around to ask every being to protect Baldur, not to cause him any harm. But they overlooked the mistletoe. And then Loki, the troublesome god, because we do need our tricksters,
Mm.
decided, out of jealousy, I guess, or envy, to use this little loophole of mistletoe and got, I think it was Baldur's brother,
Yeah.
blind brother, to fire a spear made of mistletoe.
Mm.
And in some of the stories, mistletoe was a tree growing from the earth, and then it became, or a small bush or something, and then it was put in the tree, and the berries are the tears of Frigg as she wept for her son. Yeah. So yeah, it killed him, but he was brought back to life. And there is something about this, the myth of dying and being reborn, which is part of the more mysterious side of mistletoe, because it is a poison. The berries are poisonous, and yet it's it's a heart medicine and good for respiratory stuff. I make tinctures from the leaves and the stalks, and I also make a very potent libation, which I pour when I take things from the other than human. I use mistletoe libation to say thank you, and give gratitude. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a number of things there. One of the things that, as I was kind of diving with mistletoe
Mm.
before this interview, but also preparing for this interview, um, was the fact that, we know it as like you say, a hemiparasite because it can photosynthesize a little bit itself as well. But the fact that the medicinal aspects that it has, despite the
Mm.
toxicity, a bit like foxglove and yew and things like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, those medicinal aspects, particularly on the continent in Europe, are to do with circulation and respiratory uh,
Hmm.
systems, which of course is what it's tapping into with it with
Yeah.
it with its host tree. And so I kind of, and this is from Wikipedia,
Hmm.
so I'm quoting now. European mistletoe is the only multicellular organism known to lack a functioning respiratory complex, one or I, I'm not sure which it is, in its electron transport chain. And this is a protein that is essential for the creation of useful energy for its cells. It's believed to survive by attaining adenosine triphosphate and other energy-rich compounds from its host tree, as well as reorganizing its other respiratory complexes and slowing its growth and energy requirements. Well, don't worry about the detail of that, but flipping the story and the narrative a little bit, maybe the host trees are being really generous or caring to what we might regard as an impaired or maybe even a disabled plant. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the woundedness of the mistletoe in that respect of like it's not fully formed, it's kind of, or as we perceive it, fully formed.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously there's a generosity, and as I've said, there's definitely a conversation that goes on between the tree and the mistletoe, and I would say there's definitely a reciprocity going on as well. You know, in places where they've cleared mistletoe, they've discovered that biodiversity is drops dramatically, even if birds aren't eating the berries. You know, there's only really blackcap and mistletoe, a mistle thrush that have the berries. It still offers something. I mean, shelter. You know, in those ones that are completely full, it's a great place for hiding a nest, I should imagine, amongst the boughs. But I also, with my own trees, I've planted many on my, the trees in this land here that has rewilded. And yeah, there's kind of like a fecundity around them. And so I wonder about the reciprocity of it as well, that the mistletoe is actually medicating the tree in some way, as well as the tree being generous and offering its lungs or to the mistletoe. And I, you know, again, I wonder if this is, even if the ancients weren't quite so aware of it, the absolute kind of entanglement of the mistletoe with the host tree, the inseparability of their survival is such a lesson, you know. And again, it's kind of what us humans have to remember, which is another reason why I love mistletoe, is the,
No,
you know,
totally. That's
we are mistletoe on the tree's lungs, actually, if you think about it. Kind of, we require the oxygen that the tree, so you know.
totally, yes. I think we're the modern world and the latest scientific insights combining with ancient spiritual wisdom is really kind of opening up how entangled everything is. But
Yeah.
just riffing with what you were saying then, another thing I found out from Wikipedia about mistletoe is that it has one of the largest genomes of all organisms, and that's, what you know, make of it what you will, but 90 billion, the B, base pairs, compared to just 3 billion base pairs in the human genome. And so you'd imagine, in the context of the mutualism you were talking about, that it's got an awful amount of experience of living on Gaia, on planet Earth. So, you know, and given that we increasingly see evolution and the kind of the arc of evolution as bending towards mutualism, whether there is, more to that relationship than we have heretofore understood.
For sure, for sure. I mean, we met at college, didn't we? And I've spent like the last 30 years unschooling myself quite a lot. So I choose to focus on the other ways of knowing, like the intuitive way of knowing and feeling through my emotions and also through my senses. And so my relationship with mistletoe is very much through those doorways rather than a cognitive one. I mean, you know, I can read and I do remember the myths and the stories and some of the science, but it's like there's something about the way mistletoe is, well, in traditions, I think it was in the Celtic tradition, the mistletoe was seen as carrying the spirit of the entire oak tree. You know, it's like this small essential thing that carries the spirit of something, and it's also, there's a wound to it and a gift to it, you know. And I just find that very mysterious, that this one is here with us, and has a lot to teach us. It's funny, you know, people get really excited about mistletoe. I mean, you know, I have been with people at various places over the UK, and they're like, mistletoe, they know it. They know it. I mean, you know, seeing it there, especially in a winter tree, golden, it does something to you.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
one.
And I think, we speak of a light and a dark side to the plant, but I think most people do actually drift towards the light side.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
no, it's really interesting. I've only ever tried to kind of seed it, the once on a pear tree many decades ago now, and it didn't succeed.
Yeah, I've
Um,
never got it going on pear trees.
but
Yeah.
because it tends to like apple, doesn't it? And lime trees and poplar, willow as well.
Willow, yeah, I've got it on willow, but it's a bit tardy. Hawthorn, it loves hawthorn around here. I wonder whether there are various places it likes different host trees. I wonder, you know. Yeah, and I've got it going on rowan as well, but again, very slow. Never managed to get it going on oak. There's the thing about the druids and like this most sacred mistletoe grow on oaks, but apparently there's like less than 10 plants growing on oak in the UK. So
Well,
uh,
I guess that's why they liked it so much because it was so rare on oak. And I obviously I think of the in the English translations of the Asterix graphic novels, which I always loved, and my son loves them. You know, the druid Getafix, brilliant name. Um, he gets his mistletoe for his magic potion, which gives him superhuman strength, up from oak trees. With a
yeah,
golden sickle. Do you have a golden sickle?
I don't have a golden sickle. I don't. I
Ah,
have a copper. I have a copper cutting board.
ah,
Yeah, yeah.
wonderful.
Don't have a gold one. The copper's yeah got its own magic. So yeah, yeah, and it never could touch the ground. I think one of the things is it's this plant that grows between the worlds. And there's the dark and light again, the underworld and um, the middle world and upper world. It's kind of, it's this place in between that it inhabits that's quite moving for people, not in a cognitive way. I just think it gets people somehow. It got me, that's for sure. So,
Another medicinal aspect is, as I understand it, it's being explored um, for, in regards to the treatment of cancer.
cancer. Yeah,
And
yeah.
apparently Rudolf Steiner was the first to kind of explore that back in I guess that would be the early 20th century. Do you know much about that?
No, I don't. I mean, I have personal experience of a friend who had breast cancer having mistletoe treatment and how it emphasized the kind of it kind of made the tumors more kind of visible in the mass so that they could be located. I
Okay.
think I remember her saying. But again, cancer, this disease that disease that
Mm.
is becoming more and more present in modernity. Uh, and this one that is here in this place of light and dark to maybe turn the tide within individual people of cancer. I mean, some people see us humans as a cancer.
Mm.
And so maybe it's doing something to us so that we're not a cancer as well as curing the physical cancer. I don't know. I don't know. It's all just
Mm.
stories, and intuitions. But yeah, yeah. No, I don't know more about it than that.
Mm.
Mm.
And I mean, there's lots of interesting things about most plants when you actually dive into relationship
Yeah.
with them more deeply. But one of the things in terms of its toxicity, there's a particular protein, a cytocell toxic protein, um, called viscumin. And of course, viscum
Discum alba. Yeah.
album is the scientific name, and they share the same etymological root as viscosity. And
Yeah.
the seeds, as you well know, I'm sure, are like really sticky.
Yeah.
But this protein, apparently a ribosome inactivating protein, or RIP, which amused me a little bit. It's a little bit Loki-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And did you know that in Europe they used to make a glue out of the viscous seed jelly and catch birds
Oh
to
yes, that's what I did read about that.
jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Songbirds, the eating of songbirds.
I know I had a brief experience of that, or being told about that tradition in Mallorca once. And I kind of switched off because I just didn't like the idea of songbirds being caught. But of course,
Yeah, yeah,
that was cultural tradition in many parts of the world. Um, hmm.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I think if I remember, you were talking in previous conversations about kind of this time of year coming up, February, March, is when you're out and about planting and championing
Hmm.
mistletoe.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, yeah, I am. I go to this place. It's near Kilpeck in Herefordshire, and I have just this relationship with the apple trees and also some hawthorns that I collect from, and yeah, and also now I have plenty of seed here on my own land here. But yeah, go and collect the seed in a kind of ceremonial way, give them thanks, pour in libation. And yeah, and something we haven't mentioned is fertility.
Mm.
Some people see it as the seed of the sun god, because of course it's quite semen-like, the white
Yeah.
insides, and a lot of I know in Germany that they used to hide a bough of it in the kind of marriage bed of newlyweds, and people used to carry it for fertility and stuff. There's something about fertility with this plant. But yeah, I'm off around the start of March to go and collect the seeds and go and give my thanks. And
Spreading the mystery and the magic. I mean,
yeah,
do you do this guerrilla style, or do you have people who say, Belle, can you come and plant some mistletoe
bit
on
of
our lawn?
both.
Mm.
Bit of both. Yeah, yeah. I did a wassail last Friday in the local church, the local town orchard, and the guy who holds that space, I was wearing mistletoe, and he was like, "Don't you plant it here? I don't want mistletoe in my orchard." And I
Oh,
was laughing, laughing. He was being playful, but he really doesn't want mistletoe. Yeah, I do. I do plant some where it seems like mistletoe wants to be planted. Yeah, I do. And also, I do advertise my willingness to see if they'll make a connection with a tree and go around this local area. And I also post seeds out to people
mhm.
with instructions, and I'm happy to advise on that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Why do you think that gentleman, whose wishes we must respect, of course,
totally.
why do you think he didn't want it?
Because in certain places it can spread quite rapidly. I mean, I say rapidly, it doesn't grow very fast, but when it gets going, it really does. It takes about 7 years to get the first berries. And for about 2 years, it's this tiny little stirrup of green coming out of the seed.
Mm.
Yeah, it can spread rapidly, and then it's another thing to manage in the tree because you don't want to have too many males because the branch it's on will be weakened. My sense from my own trees is that the rest of the tree is kind of fortified by the presence of mistletoe and the kind of the other relationships that it brings to the tree, but the actual branch it's on will weaken. And the ones that I've got it on have less canker. We get a lot of canker on the apple trees, and they get less canker than the ones without mistletoe. So
Mm.
yeah, but I think it's a management thing. You have to manage the mistletoe. You have to bring death to some of the mistletoe at times. So
Mm.
yeah. Mm.
I ask because the I know in our local RHS regional garden at Rosemore, near Torrington here in Devon,
Mm.
they're happy to have it on their apple trees, or at least
Mm.
some of the ones I've seen there. But again, they may be managing that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah, I think there is a prejudice. It's a kind of like quite a polarized plant. Some people, there's quite a strong dislike from especially apple growers.
mm,
It's seen as a pest or a parasite. Um, and but it also is a healing plant, and it also brings biodiversity. Apparently, research shows. So yeah, yeah, I like these plants that bridge the two. That
yeah,
are you know
yeah, and it's pertinent to your wider work, of course, and working with the across the
yeah,
Vales and
yeah.
mm.
Very definitely. Very definitely. It's such an ally for me. Such an ally. So yeah.
We should start wrapping up our short but sweet, hopefully sweet interview. In terms of if anyone listening to this wants, decides you're in the UK to kind of get in touch with you
Yeah.
about mistletoe or about any of the other extraordinary work you're involved in,
Mm.
what's the best place for them to go to?
My website, which is www.bell,
Mm.
Bell, Selkie, Selkie.co.uk. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll pop that
Fun.
in the show notes, as they say, as well, so people will see that. Um,
Mm.
and any final thoughts or feelings I mean, you've said a
Mm.
lot, and there's some wonderful insights in what's gone before, but about, the plant being that is mistletoe.
I suppose maybe not so much about mistletoe, but just inviting anybody listening to consider a plant that might have chosen them, that's claimed them, and to move into a deeper relationship with it,
Mm.
and to let yourself be, my life is designed around mistletoe in some ways. I have this pilgrimage that I do every year and have done, despite raising children and all sorts of things, because I have a relationship with this plant. It's like a migratory route. It's kind of a way of remembering an indigene. And we all, I'm sure, have different plants. I'm curious what yours might be, Peter. There's a plant that's really claimed you from quite a long time ago that kind of still excites you and draws kind of curiosity, and it feels a bit insatiable. That's how I feel about mistletoe. It's like, and there's almost like a kind of erotic part of it for me. It's like such a buzz when I'm around mistletoe. There's kind of all my ways of experiencing are turned on by mistletoe. So I just would invite people to consider that. I'm assuming these are plant people listening in. So just getting into a relationship with a different way of knowing a plant.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, it follows on nicely actually from what will be when this video is released
Mm.
next month in February, I suspect. It follows on for some posts that speak to that exactly. But you're giving the impression that mistletoe is actually kind of rooted into your psyche as well.
So yeah, it's really it's quite a thing. I mean, there are other plants, like the yew, I am in another kind of deep relationship with, and
Mm.
that is part of my pilgrimage as well, is this journey that I go on along the edges of Cymru and England has got yew trees very much woven in as well, and I have different practices with the yew. But yeah, it's we live to clock time, don't we? And like the working week and all that sort of stuff. And there are these older rhythms, this natural law, and this is one of the ways we can surrender to it. Um, in the same way that kind of tuning into the moon, we can kind of remember an indigene like
Mm.
our ancestors had, and like how non-modern humans still live, and there's something about as we move into these times of collapse, it's like leaning into these older rhythms and having a relationship with a plant and letting it, surrendering to it, let it claim you in that way, and create your own traditions or remember old traditions, is how I say it. It's like a remembering. I pull my separated parts back through doing that. So yeah,
That's a
just
really wonderful invitation. Uh,
yeah, please. I would love to think of people doing that all over the UK, just
mm.
getting into these migratory patterns with plants, like
Yeah,
little bees.
well, and with climate change now, which allows me just to quickly answer your question that you put in there for me, there's a number of Mediterranean plants. I
Mm,
feel a very strong affinity with when I've had the good fortune to be in the Mediterranean amongst the many familiar plants to us here in Northern Europe there, but bay laurel and rosemary, they speak to me particularly strongly because I've known them since childhood.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I understand, that
Mhm.
deeper relationship, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful
Mm,
thing. Um,
mhm. Beautiful.
Belle, thank you ever so much for joining us here on In Convivium. And I wish
Mm,
you many fresh blessings from this from 2026, and hopefully our paths will cross again soon. But anyway, in the meantime,
yeah,
thank you again, and
yeah.
happy Imbolc, which is coming up on
Oh,
us very soon.
oh, I'm hungry for it, I tell you. Gosh, yes, the winter is dark and long. But yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, go
Take
well.
take care, and you. Bye bye.